Welcome everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and welcome, I think is the full phrase. And hello, I'm Mark Cornwall. I'm Technical Director for Cloud Networks at GSMA. I'm also your moderator for today's session, and we're here to discuss the notion that providing network as a service is a future for telcos. And I'm pleased to say we've got an expert panel to help us on a topic, and I'd like to introduce them. First of all, Gaudencio Chiponga, who's Senior Manager for Technology, Strategy and Architecture at Safaricom. Gaudencio, would like to say hi.
Hi, how are you? Pleased to be here.
Cool. Second one, Alexander Harmond, Head of Network Platforms at Telefonica.
Hello, good afternoon.
And lastly, Claire Chauvin, Director of Strategy and Architecture and Standardization at Orange.
Hi, nice to be with you today. Thanks, Mark, for the invitation.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for your time also joining us. So welcome, everybody. I think we can get straight into it, and I'll put it to the group. So there is momentum around the notion that network as a service, so exposing network capabilities to third parties through common APIs, is a strategic imperative for operators. The next big question is, how do we get there? Where are we now? And what do we need to do to enable the NAS, I guess, the Techco vision as well? So the first one to everybody, and first we'll start off, I think, with Alex. What makes NAS so essential to so many telecom operators?
I think basically so main objective, at least for Telefonica, is to get a new monetization paradigm. So exposing our network capabilities and foster service development on top of it, we believe that it's going to bring new revenues. It's going also to bring new services to our customer. So the idea really is to speed up the innovation on top of our network. So that's mainly what we are looking for.
Cool. Gaudencio, same question to you. What makes NAS so essential?
So for us, it's I think we resonate with Alex. For us, it's also the same. We see new opportunities for revenues once we sweat our assets. So we want to sweat our assets more so that we can actually be able to make, because we see like our voice revenue, and of course, it has plateaued. Our SMS, it's declining. So we want to get new revenue streams, and of course, how we engage with our customers. So they want some bit of intimacy, personalization, and we think that this is also going to help us with being able to meet this need.
Cool. Excellent. And then lastly, same question to Claire. What makes NAS so essential, so wide in the industry?
Yeah, I think I'll echo my colleagues here. We need, of course, to find new business opportunities in this area, as we are currently trying to transform our telco networks into very programmable service platforms for many reasons, but we think that it's a good opportunity to enable then the integration with third-party applications to enrich the ecosystem of services, and so yeah, find new levers to I'd say to leverage our assets, as well as also enriching the service offer to our customers.
Cool. Thank you very much. So another question more around standardization. So how important do you think that is it for the industry to support and align across industry initiatives, with teeth in, such as GSMA Open Gateway and then things like Camara? And I'd say, Gaudencio, would you be able to answer that one as first?
Yes, sure. I think for us, what we were saying that when we began this journey for network as a platform, there's so many protocols in between, and I think when we have the GSMA and of course Camara being part of this, helping us to standardize the bodies, it makes it easier, because on the radio interface we have different kind of protocols on the transport and of course on the call, and of course when we have a common body like what Camara is doing, and of course we also subscribe to it, because Vodacom is part of the body that supports it, and of course also our main vendors that are there. So we really see that this is a very important role that they're coming to play in, and of course it's going to accelerate for us to be able to realize this.
Excellent. Gaudencio, another question for you, really. Are these the main, well, I've only mentioned two, but are those the main bodies that you look towards, or are there other ones that Safaricom looks at as well?
So we also look at the TM forum. And of course, I think for us, we also look at I think it's the TM forum for us. And of course, we also look at the Camara, what Camara is offering, and the GSMA, Open Gateway.
Excellent, thank you. Same question to Claire. The industry support and how important is that to Orange?
Yeah, I think in terms of standards, what we need to highlight here, and that's really the essence of the initiatives that we took as operators inside GSMA is to bring possibility to reach a maximum number of developers. At least this is what we want to do as telcos, offering really the same thing to everybody and harmonizing also what we offer. And of course, the other way around, reaching scale, meaning that one developer will find the same interface to all the possible operators in the world. At least that's the target, which means that they can develop once and reuse many across many different operators. And that's the success, in my opinion, the success of putting at scale. And of course, if you're talking about harmonizing, interoperating, and so on, then you have to go through the standards. So that's where this initiative in GSMA is very important. I can give as a highlight the experience we had in the past in Orange, for instance, because when you have many affiliates in different countries, then you see how difficult it is to reach, all the countries at the same time. And that's where standards really are essential. So I echo also Gaudencio, because this is about GSMA. This is also, of course, about 3GPP that will, provide inside the networks all the standards interface that we need actually to support this, and also TMF, which is very important in terms of management and provide good interactions also with what most of us already have inside our IT. So 3 basic standards on which we have to rely, and that are all provide input to Camara in a way.
Cool, excellent, thank you very much. And same question to Alex.
Yeah, I am the last one, so it's going to be a bit repetitive, but yeah, I think the main bodies have been listed, but just to emphasize what's the importance. So I think GSMA did it very well as the initial with the Open Gateway initiative, because we have built a common roadmap to start. So it's not only publishing a common interface, is to bring to the network the same level of capabilities. So for the interface to be valid, you need to have the capability in the network. So we have built, in line with the MOU, the committed capabilities, which means that for this roadmap, developer can access these commonalities across all the networks of the partners. The second thing is, NAS is exposing assets. So again, beyond the interface standardization, we need 3GPP to keep on building capabilities that we can expose. So slicing, edge capability. So all these are key enablers that can bring value to our customers. So yeah, I think that's where we have the main value, building the capabilities and then exposing them commonly. But somehow we need to keep on aligning the roadmap, because if I deploy, I don't know, slicing in Telefonica is not available in Orange or in Vodafone or whatever, I think there's little value, right? Because the customer will not be able to, the developer will not be able to reach all the end users possible.
Thank you very much. And do you see that adoption as being as much as important as also the standardization, I think, that we've all talked about? So there's adoption as well.
Yeah, I think the adoption is as much as important. Obviously, the aim of the standards is to foster the adoption. So I think there's a key journey to be taken for NAS to be adopted. And for example, in Telefonica, we are moving to this early program. So after having developed the capabilities for the Mobile World Congress that we have presented, we are going to open the capability to key developers. in order for them to test the service. So we have this journey between now to go full commercial, to bring the interest to the community and double check that what we have built in the network is of value for the developers.
Excellent, thank you very much. So how far, and Claire, can I point this one at you first? How far are you in that transformation journey into opening up the network, exposing NAS, transforming into a telco, and how far away are you through that transformation journey, do you see?
Yeah, well, I think we're on track, right? We have started, as you said. This is a lot of transformation that we have to put in place in our networks. Actually, there are some specific functions, features, as Alexander just explained, that we're working on in our various countries. We also have, I would say, quite a good experience in terms of exposing things outside our networks. We have this Orange Developer Initiative that was launched roughly 10 years ago, in which we expose rather IT APIs so far, but it has proved to be quite efficient, and in particular when we are also able to federate the initiatives across all our affiliates in the world. So what we have started is on both sides. So first side is indeed to develop the right features and functions inside our network, put in place the right systems that allow to get maximum access to all the features and expose the right 3GPP APIs to name them. And on the other side, try and start seeing how we can expose this in our existing exposure platform. So progressively adding, so it's not live so far, but we're working on this, progressively adding access to network API features in order for developers to have a look, see how they can test them, and try and see which kind of services they would like to imagine over those APIs. So I would say that we have sort of started on both sides, of course. And I would complete also to say that we are also thinking of other ways to expose our network assets. Of course, we can expose them directly, but we can also imagine to go through different marketplaces, existing marketplaces, where maybe we will reach other types of developers. So this is both, technical from the network and from the exposure layer side, but also from the business perspective, trying to find the best way to address maybe the best target of developers that we would like to reach.
Cool, excellent. The same question to Alex. Whereabouts in transformation journey? Any particular areas where you're focusing on and where you see additional work happening? And you're on mute, Alex.
Yeah. There are many layers you have to transform to reach your target, but I think I will build to. I mean, the first one about the marketplace integration is a key transformation aspect. Is new. Okay, we want to build this interconnectivity with marketplaces and this commercial and technical relationship, which means also we need to ensure that we maintain our end user privacy, and we need consent management. So all these new capability we need to think about and that we need to put in place. And then from a pure network point of view, to say something that we are working on hardly is basically to modernize our service factory. So we realize that if we want to be agile in developing new services in the network, we need to have this microservice layer in our network based on container where we can bring development quickly in order to orchestrate APIs, build services on top of APIs. So this is, I think, one of the big additional transformation we need to have. So everybody has some level of it, but I think if we think big, we need to scale the architecture. So this is a significant transformation in terms of service development in our network.
Thank you very much, Alex. Again, Gaudencio, I know the same question to you about Safaricom and where are you in the journey as well?
So Safaricom, we just before I think this session, we had our CTIO or CIO who was presenting about Safaricom ecosystem. So we have one side on the IT, we are quite developed. We actually at the master level, I would say, because we have an API platform that we have exposed around, and we have around 300 partners who come and you know, external partners who come and develop around the financial services. But when you look at, let's say, on the network side, right now what we are doing is that we took advantage of the fact that we are refreshing our network estate to now, you know, start doing network transformation, because we are coming from a very legacy systems. So at the moment, where we started is we started at the core network, where we started doing the network function virtualizations. And of course, we are going towards now the microservices, because we have to do the containerization and of course, towards that. And that's where we are at the core network. On the transport layer, what we are doing is right now, we are now getting into the SDN. So we have and segment routing. We never have, we were actually coming from, you know, like refreshing our transport ecosystem. And this is now what is going to help us to accelerate towards that. On the radio, we are still also, let's say, very, very, very much legacy. We haven't seen any movement around that. So it's just refreshing to hear Claire and Alex, how far they have gone ahead, but we are coming after you. Yeah.
That sounds like a challenge. Can I come to Claire? And really, it's what do the key services in NAS that are really going to add value, and when do you think you're going to see them? You're going to see them live in the network, either live or in test in the network?
Well, I think that there are a few ones that are more or less live already, but these are the business as usual, I would say, you know, everything about location and things that you can add to the device, SIM swap, things like this. These are things that we quite commonly use today, but more for I would say support to fraud services or help you know, more IT people. I think when we enter into the pure network as a service, most of people think of quality of service, quality on demand, which is probably the most new thing we're thinking about, and the most promising one. So I think probably this is the one we'll see first. Maybe not in a B2C market, more on a B2B approach, because I think we will have more and more to work with verticals, with dedicated partners that would probably need and require some very specific services with a mandatory quality of service. And we can think of automotive, we can think of health, lots of, we can think of gaming, of course, in lots of areas like this, where probably quality of service will be very, very important. So probably these are the first services that we'll see. And aside of this, I would say that it also makes sense to focus on this, because it makes probably our network in a way responsible, in a way that it's not just about, you know, gaining capacity always more in the future, but maybe having the right quality for the right service, for the right customer at the right time. And all those APIs will help us also for this, you know, to focus on what is required for one service, and be more efficient and more resilient also in our network. So basically, I would focus on quality on demand. But as you know, well, opening up to a wide range of developers and application is also sometimes the moment when you make new discoveries and find success in things that you did not expect at first. But that would be my first bet.
Cool. So do you see tuning of the network and really tuning to use cases as being one of those key areas?
I think it is, and I think it's also very important for all those application developers that most of the time work today really on an OTT mode, right? So it's just sort of providing them access to the deep core of network possibilities, which they cannot rely on today. So really this is a good way to match what we can do, what they expect, and to enrich really this ecosystem by really combining this access to the quality, the deep quality that we can provide in our networks. Yeah.
Excellent, cool. Alex, if you wouldn't mind, what do you think are the key drivers? What are the key drivers for Telefonica to change? Are those internal drivers or external drivers? Where do you see those drivers coming from and surround the Telefonica group?
I think the first driver is external, because obviously the NAS is about monetizing, it's about exposing, it's about bringing new services. So really this is need this external driver out of the network to bring new values. And then internally, I think when you look at the technology, you need to achieve that. At the end of the day, you need to be cloud native. So you need to bring your cloud network to 5G SA. You need to have this microservice layer based on container. So you need this transformation to a cloud native based network. So this is one again of the additional driver that will push us to move to 5G SA. We have a common core capability and strategy in Telefonica. So we are bringing our 5G SA core with exposure capability, and we are migrating all our 4G traffic to this new core to have a single core network. So yeah, the NAS is only an additional demand for this to happen, right? So yeah.
Excellent. Gaudensia, if you wouldn't mind.
Mm-hmm.
So what enablers do you think have emerged that weren't apparent previously? We've been on this journey for a number of years. We've been doing network as service for a number of years. So what's come about which really enables that now within your networks, which weren't apparent previously?
So I think for us that what stood out the most was the standardization, I guess, because of different protocols. We had not foreseen that. So that one was one of the key enablers that we saw. And then, of course, we had the budgetary or the CapEx implication. So it felt like selling the story at the beginning, but when we come to doing the business case and looking at the numbers, the cost of change vis-a-vis the function itself, sometimes one outweighs the other one, and it becomes very difficult to convince, especially the finance, when the mindset has not really shifted. And then, of course, the third one is actually, which I think is big, is actually now the mindset and the people. And this one, I think you have to carry everybody along, and it has to be very deliberate and very intentional. And if you saw what we currently do for us is that we make sure that first of all, we had general upskilling within technology, especially on the network side. So we identified the key digital skills that we required. We came up with a curriculum for the Safaricom Digital Academy. And then, of course, we identified the key resources who are going to come back and become our evangelists. And it has been a running program. And then, of course, giving the opportunity for hackathons so that people can actually have the confidence that for us, we can actually be able to carry out this transformational journey and, realize a Techco, vision as our ambition. So those are the things that we had not foreseen earlier, but they are very critical success factors for us to be able to achieve all this.
Cool. So would you say it as a maturing of Safaricom into a Techco and adopting these new ways of working? And then I guess is it also the external market is maturing as well?
So for us today, when I look at Safaricom and of course the Kenyan ecosystem today, the market is not really, the market is not really matured very fast, but of course we have those, the digital champions in our market today. But fintech is actually giving us a pull so that now we are trying to transform, because fintech, like right now, the APIs, the location-based might be, as Claire is saying, probably it might be business as usual in Europe. But for us, because of fraud detection, it becomes a key necessity. So those are the things that probably we are seeing a pull coming in from the financial services because we have already progressed so much around that. And of course, now that becomes like, I don't know if it's external or internal, but I think it's both internal and external. Yeah.
Excellent, good to hear. Claire, if you wouldn't mind. So what do you think are the biggest challenges you're facing in your transformational journey, bringing network as a service and network as a platform to life, and how do you overcome those as well?
I think I would mention two, maybe. First one would be more, I would say, kind of a business mindset that we need to change. What I mean is that when we are opening so much access to our enablers, I think Gaudence said it very well. We have not imagined all the services that could be built upon this. So there is a need, you know, for kind of ahead investment. You know, you have to put your network to have it ready for this, and then expose and then try. But you cannot have confidence really in the level and number and the figures and how many services will be developed and what the gains will be. I mean, it's not as arithmetic, as vertical as we used to do. We develop this or that platform or that service in order to reach that, you know, customer target. So it's a bit more vague because we're trying to open it to everybody. We know that it will work, but we are not completely sure on in which area and in which time frame. So this is kind of bet, you know, to be done, and it really requires, I think, to change a little bit the way we think in order to have that strong interactions and global you know, way of working together with our partners, service developers. So it's a kind of change and homogeneous need for collaboration that we need in the ecosystem. And it's not easy because you need to work on the network assets, you need to expose things, you need to have marketplace. So this is lots of layers, you know, that have to be aligned. And I think we're trying to move on each of them, but it really requires good coordination, good synchronization also, that, you know, network arrive on time and developers are there at the right moment. So it's a kind of bet, you know, on a different side. And I think it's a bit new. It's not growing, you know, progressively. We have to build almost everything at the same time in order to make it match. I think it's quite a challenge from my perspective. So it's not only a technical challenge. Now, having said this, the second one I'm thinking about is more technical, is all about security, because when you mention all these layers, all these actors, all the things that you open here and there in the networks, in the IT, in the ecosystem, it means you have to be very careful on the way you secure access to all those pieces of network infrastructure that are quite key and very critical for telco operators. So this is a big challenge also. And I think Alex mentioned earlier how to, you know, manage access, all the policies that you have to put in place to access these APIs. And I think it's a very important challenge as well. So far, we are more thinking of use cases, business cases, and the different, you know, creative aspects of all those services that we could create, but we have to keep that in mind. And I think rules and policy will be very important to put in place also for this success.
Thank you, Claire. Yeah, very important, very important. Alex, we could turn to you. Claire's mentioned a lot about it already. So Techco, or network as a service transformation, involves many parts, and that includes automation and digital engagement with the customers. Are there any other parts, and Claire's mentioned a few, that you see in your journey that you'd like to highlight that have been important?
Yeah, I think you need to look at the end-to-end change for everything. So I think the difficulty is not like you're building one network services, like X network services. Any API is a specific network service. So this means you need to, I mean, automation, you mentioned it, but it's not only automation about deploying capacity, but it's also about testing end-to-end continuously. I mean, if you look quality of service, for example, as an API, as a service, it goes from your API gateway towards the access. It touches all the platform, all the layers until the network access. So any change in this chain of platform has to be retested, and you need to be sure that your service is maintained end to end. So I think where I have to bet on automation for now, I think service testing automation. I think there were some references to CDCT during the conference. I think it's key. Okay, we need to be able to bring to validate any network change, any network upgrade, any change of parameter, any change in the service design. And if you don't have a good service automation and a CDCT pipe, I think it's going to be nearly impossible. So I think here CDCT is going to be key, not only for network deployment, but for also end-to-end testing from a service point of view.
Okay, very, very valid and very, very big parts of transformation, I think, which we as telcos always struggled with. So it's an important thing to bring up. So next thing I'd like to talk about a little bit around, we've talked about telco business and Techco business and moving towards Techco. And then network as a service, but I think any parts of traditional elements or foundational elements of being a telco which you're looking to keep and you don't want to lose sight of. And Gaudensia, can I ask you that first?
I think for us, we're keeping everything because right now we are hugely still a telco. But of course, yeah, the first principles, I would say that the engineers that we currently have in our ecosystem, most of them actually built their expertise, learning through all the evolution. And of course, we would want to keep that. And of course, we would want to also keep the pace of, let's say, the rollout. Like for us, our network rollout, ever since we've always, done the rollout in a way that it's almost waterfall, yes, but at least it's accelerated and we have control over the deployment. So we want to keep those elements. But I guess that for us today, what we're doing is that as much as we want to keep the telco, we want to also build on it. You just have to have build-ons on it so that we can be more agile. We can be data-driven, we can be, we can now move towards now, platforms and all that. So we are still, yes, in the telco, but as even as part towards Techco, we want to just carry everybody along and build on the things that work for us.
Cool, excellent. Thank you very much. Claire, same question to you. Are there any parts that you're looking at to keep and really keep hold of?
Yeah, I quite agree with Gaudensia that we need to keep control of our network and the way we operate the rollout. I mean, we're not just running after capacity and demand. We hold this. We are the one who make lots of huge and very strong investments, to deploy our networks. So we need to keep control over it, and we need to share what's the best, for our customers in order to develop the right services. I would tend to say that we are here also to guarantee a certain level of services to our customers. So we are eager to keep this relationship with our customers. Whatever happens to a mobile network customers, when he experiences a problem, he always calls his telco, right? Even if the problems come from the application, from the service or whatever. So we have this relationship, and in a way, we are the one in charge, of making the right service for our customers. We guarantee this to them, and I think it's very important for us to keep this relationship because we are their first reach into the service and digital world. So I think we're really eager to keep this. And I would add maybe, because this is a topic of very, very strategic for Orange, that we absolutely want to have responsible networks. We want to be in charge of this also to our customers. We want to take care of the planet as much as we can. We want to have green networks. Things like this, these are also things we want to guarantee to our customers. So we're not running after 6G, 7G, or whatever, whereas 5G is just not even deployed. You know, we're not running after time. We're running after responsible networks, secured one with a good data privacy for our network. So really everything that makes us trustful operators and trusted partners to our customers. I think this is really important for us.
Sounds really good. I think same question to Alex.
Yeah, I think security and user privacy is key, is what we are going to maintain. I mean, mobile networks have been defined with a very strong security paradigm. So authentication, identification, authorization, this has to happen at all the layers. So we are quite focused in having this security paradigm on the northbound interface, so between our network and the marketplaces and the developers. So we want to be sure that only good guys access our end users, and we want to be sure that our end users' privacy is respected. So I think that's the key things we would like to maintain, yes or yes. And then we need to keep on, again, as part of what we have to do and keep on doing, is bringing innovation in our network platforms. I think the 5G steps is a huge step. There has not been so much changes for a long time. So building an API-based network, bringing slicing on, bringing edge on. So bringing these new capabilities is key for us as operators, and we have been doing this since 2G. We need to keep on doing it. So it's where I think we will thrive as an industry, right? So yeah.
Excellent. So I'm hearing really it's a great deal of our traditional centered on customers and then having security on our networks going forwards, moving forwards, and then making sure we're doing that in a sensible and responsible manner. That's what I think is coming from everybody. So I think what I'd like to do in the formal questions, bring those to a close, and there's time for Q&A. So if the audience has got any questions, then please put them in the box and please ask Q&A. And we've got a couple of minutes to do. So I'd like to bring the questions to a close, and just enough time for sort of a yes/no answer, which is NAS the future for telco? And Gardencia, if I'm going to turn to you first.
Yes, it is. It is the future.
Excellent. Thank you. Claire?
I'll say yes. I'll say yeah. Sure.
Cool. And Alex?
I think it's a cornerstone, but as I said, you expose what you have. So if you don't build in your assets, you don't have anything to expose, right? So I think it's a cornerstone, but
for an observation, I think it's quite interesting when we talk about NAS that I've never met anyone who works in the right parts of an operator to know about NAS who doesn't think it's absolutely critical, but it does seem to be something that is spoken about with more fear or apprehension, I would say, than, let's say, cloud native. I feel like that's quite, you know, we know it's tough, but I don't know, NAS seems to create more nervousness, and I don't know if it's just because it's just so difficult. Not that going cloud native isn't, but I just think it feels like a leap, a really, really big change in the kind of function almost of a telco. No? What do you think?
I think it's always hard, you know, and a bit fearful. I think you're right, Annie. I think it is always when you try and open the box, actually, you know. It feels much more easy when you are inside your box and you can control everything. And as I think we said earlier, there are lots of things to control in the network. It's quite a tough technology, and it's already a challenge to operate on networks, deploy them, etc. So I think we've got quite a huge number of challenges already today as it is. Now, if you open the box, I think it makes the potential even wider for sure, but this is also lots of more things to be secure and taken care of. That may be an answer to your question.
I'm just wondering as well whether it's dependent on so very many other things and bringing them together.
Yeah.
I think once you have transformed your network, exposing it is technically, okay? I think the challenge is on security, as Claire said, because you need to protect it because it's open to a wide range of people. But I think the challenge is more on the commercial model, because this is what is changing really, is, we have to make deals with marketplaces. In previous experiences, we tried to build our own marketplace. In that case, we want to partner, we want to reach the maximum number of people. So I think the commercial model is where there is massive difference to what we used to do. Okay, so and then it's what is really, really, really new. Technically, if we have done the right transformation in the network, it's challenging. But once it's done, exposing, the NAS concept itself is just bringing your interfaces and doing some level of transformation.
Well, it's kind of making what was previously internal, external, and that's kind of quite a huge leap for anybody, isn't it? It's like somebody can suddenly read your mind. It's a bit scary.
Yeah, for sure. I think for the traditional, let's say telcos still, some of the capabilities or the investments, people are still seeing them as strategic advantage, and they're not willing to open up. So there's also that fear from the industry, like your competition is coming in, so you don't want to expose your capabilities because you've already invested in it, especially in markets where it is not, say, let's say for some instance today ourselves, we have the majority, let's say the market share, and of course there are also the investments in the majority. So when you're speaking to the leadership, it's always, we've already invested, why should we open up all these capabilities to the people who don't want to invest? Yeah, so there's also that aspect. But I think
I think you might have just really whacked the nail on the head there, actually.
Yes, yeah.
I think it's getting to know what our customers and what the developers need and want as much as it is the telco thinking this is what we think you want, but it's what you want. What is it you want from the telco? And getting them to change their way of thinking, getting us to change our way of thinking as well, and making sure that comes together.
Actually, maybe they don't know what they want because they don't know what's possible.
What we can do.
So it's a bit tricky, isn't it? And also, they know old telco. They don't know anything about this whole new set of stuff. So it's a bit of a dance, isn't it?
It is.
With us eyeing our partners up and wondering if they'll really suit us or not. Oh, well, that was interesting. I think this is the really, it's kind of a really big topic, and I feel we're still in the foothills somehow with it. I think and for that reason, it's quite hard to talk about in many ways because we're not so near the commercial end of it at all, are we? Yet.
We're getting there.
Yeah. Well, I would like to thank all of you for a panel on a jolly tricky subject. Thank you. Some really great insights in there. Thank you all for your time and your input. They're much appreciated. And I hope we can reconvene maybe in a few months and see how far we've managed to move the mountain, or as Claire says, leave that box open. Thank you, all of you, very much indeed.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.